This is the Woodbridge Conservation Commission of November 6, 2025 at 6:22 p.m. We got delayed waiting for a quorum, so this is call to order. I think that have people read the minutes, and can we make it quick, or should we just go to the housing? I didn't see anything specifically.
Yeah, they look good to me.
So does anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the September
Okay. Anyone want a second?
second.
All approved? The meeting minutes are accepted. Doesn't look like there's any public comment. And is there anything about what's happening? I don't know when the trail master's having his trail day, but we can look it up and maybe discuss it a little later after the
Sure.
housing. Okay, so now we have the pleasure of having the housing committee, or the housing group, come and start a discussion about housing and conservation. And why don't we go around and all introduce ourselves and maybe say for one line what has made us want to be part of the committee that we're on. Do you want to start, Jim?
Sure.
Why not?
Trial by fire.
I'm Jim Graham. I'm over on Tumblebrook. My interest in the housing committee was mostly because I had a sense that we had two things going on. One, a need for additional housing, and two, concerns about legal compliance and things of that nature. So, volunteer. Here I am.
Thank you. One line?
A lot of semicolons.
And I'm Kathy Hunter. I think I know everybody. Chair of the Housing Committee. And I was interested in this work because I was following the OCA application, and which was intriguing. And I contacted the town and I said, you really should think about doing a housing plan so you could kind of have your own destiny. You can control your destiny of how you want the town to look. And they said, we're just so happen to be putting together a housing committee to do the plan. And that's how I got involved.
So I'm Mary Dean. I got involved because I knew Beth Heller from the League of Women Voters, and both of us perceived the importance of community involvement in a process like this, process like anything, as a matter of fact. And so I went to her and I offered to assist with it from that perspective. I also, of course, have interest in the topic, but no more, I dare say, and probably no less than most people in town or anywhere else. It's a very important topic.
Barbara Hagan Smith. I became involved, I guess it was a spin-off, my deep interest in the history of the town, and that to me also includes the environment and protection of open spaces, etc. So that's how I became involved. Asked if I could be on this board.
I'm Sharon DeCott. I find the natural environment very inspiring and extremely important, and I find that lots of people don't quite connect the dots that it's necessary for our very survival, and it's not a luxury, it's a key part of our existence, and I'm very committed to keeping as much of the natural environment and the habitat intact as can be, because it's dwindling so quickly.
And I second that. My name is Diana McCarthy-Burkery, a lifer here in town, and Beth roped me in as well. She's one of my all-time favorite people, and brought me in for conservation and sustainability based on my background in sustainable construction and environmental stewardship. So I've had
the opportunity to be able to work on both of those, which is a lot of fun.
All right, I'm Ben Carlson, and I met all of you in the last meeting that we talked. I'm here mainly because Diana asked me, and you can't say no to Diana. No, really, I've always had kind of a interest and strong conservation ethic, and I was working in a in a computer field as a consultant, and just decided I actually wanted to sort of change my career, and got degrees in environmental management, and got a PhD in ecology. I'm now back in the computer area, but this gives me a great outlet for sort of like that area, and I think I have I think Diana asked me just because I sort of have that background, and it's been great serving so far.
My name is Valerie King. I lived in the Westville area of New Haven for about 20 years, and found myself with another child and had to get a bigger house, and just saw a house in Woodbridge and bought it. Most of my social life was in New Haven until my youngest child graduated, and then I said, well, I'm in Woodbridge now 16 years, I need to meet some people from Woodbridge. So I joined the Conservation Committee, and I met some very nice people. I really had no notion of what it was about, conservation, but my husband does enjoy the trails. He is an avid trail person, and it means a lot to him. And I have learned to have a great appreciation for what I've learned through my colleagues and through the subject of conservation. I'm also a housing provider.
Okay.
I'd like to
Um,
go for it.
I don't really have a specific structure in mind, except that I think a dialogue of how to kind of, we've been on kind of different ends of attending to this town, and if there's some common ground that we can find, that would be useful for all of us, I think. And I don't really know how to start that, but I think if we all participate in that, that would be good.
Well, if I can offer, I did realize that I wrote up a statement back in the summer when I thought we would be meeting, just from, and it was after that session we had with the Connecticut Conservation Land Trust Council, when we had that virtual discussion with some environmental experts and housing experts talking, and so it kind of elicited some ideas and thoughts about how we could work together. So if it's okay, I'll just kind of read this very quickly.
How long is it?
It's very short. It's like one page.
Okay.
Long enough to give you some ideas.
All right.
Yeah, just some ideas. And if I could just, do you mind if I just quickly call Elaine?
So she can participate.
Let's see if she's there.
Can I ask, I was out of town at the time, can I ask how many
Okay.
of you went to the, was it July 30th presentation that she was talking about?
No, we were out of town.
Wait, let me
Nobody-
just get inside. Hold on.
Nobody did, so nobody, okay.
No, but is this on the video?
I saw it
Yes.
online afterwards.
Yes, yeah, we did send out the.
Do you want me to FaceTime her, or not FaceTime her, do you want me to put her on like a Google Meet, is that what you're talking about?
No, I think
Just on the phone so you can hear.
It's okay, once
she
you
just
get
wants
going.
to be able to participate.
Yeah, I can hear. I'm okay. I just need to get inside.
Okay, so we're meeting.
Can you hear her?
Yeah.
So I don't know,
This is Elaine.
this is Elaine.
Yes?
Say hi.
Hello, Elaine.
I probably could FaceTime. She was here before for a bit, but she had to run home for an emergency. So she's here.
Everything's okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure how many people actually, I know you were there to participate in that session. I'm not sure who.
We're talking about the July 30th.
The July 30th at the cafe, so I know some folks were there, and I found it to be interesting conversation, but of course, probably depends on where your perspective lays. So I'm just going to quickly read this just to kind of generate some ideas, some thoughts. And then I would love to be able to, at the end of, our time, is just kind of walk away with next steps and maybe even something we can work on together. Or at least, talk about next steps. I won't be too ambitious, but I think just having a conversation.
Go for it, Kathy.
Okay. So the work of the housing committee.
Kathy, I'll just say I really like the idea of like finding things that we can work on together. So
Yeah.
I just want you to know what you're going to say. I'm very receptive. So I'm happy
Oh,
that you're
good.
doing
Well,
this.
I wasn't expecting that you weren't
Put
going
you
to
on,
be
we have
receptive.
several committees, we can put you on right now.
Oh,
thanks,
Good night,
anyway.
Pass your card over
Come on,
here.
let's go.
Okay. So of course, the work of the housing committee is to promote a multifaceted approach for advancing the development of affordable housing, which can happen in many ways. And we can all acknowledge that we have a need for that here in town, in the region and throughout the state. And at the same time, and we all acknowledge the essential work of conservation, protecting open space, water quality, and natural habitats are long-term investments in our community. In fact, conservation and affordable housing share common ground, and this is something that came out of the session we watched at the cafe. Both address land uses, that the private market often neglects. Both are about stewarding land for the long-term benefit of people, and both are critical to sustaining Woodbridge as a vibrant community. And we believe the question is not whether Woodbridge should conserve land or create housing, but how we can thoughtfully balance both. And here's just a couple ways I could see our committee working together. First one is directing development to suitable locations, and the idea is higher density housing should be steered away from high value conservation lands. And we acknowledge that and we embrace that. Shared planning, when there's town-owned property that's being evaluated for conservation or development, we should be at the table together discussing that. And that ensures that we balance ecological value with the urgent need for housing for residents. Funding collaboration. There's mechanisms that would support both affordable housing and conservation. And we should explore joint opportunities that strengthen Woodbridge on both fronts. And then finally, it's community education. We each have specific perspectives, information, expertise to share with Woodbridge residents who are concerned about land use decisions in their community. Rather than presenting them separately, we should collaborate whenever possible to promote shared concerns and goals. So we should also work together to include the needs of lower income households, seniors on fixed incomes, and the hundreds of Woodbridge residents who quietly struggle with housing insecurity. So it's recognizing the public good of clean air and open space, and recognizing the public good of affordable housing. So really trying to normalize that conversation. So again, our purpose here is not to pit housing against conservation, but to recognize that a thriving, inclusive Woodbridge depends on both. So that's my short statement.
Okay.
I have some questions. I think not about what you just read necessarily. Is that
Yeah.
okay? Because we've had these sessions before. We've talked about affordable housing. So now I would like to, and I've asked this question. You've talked about affordable housing within larger unit complexes.
Mm-hmm.
Who and what agency will oversee these affordable housing? And please don't say some agency. I think there is an answer to this. So who is going to oversee that?
It depends. If you have for instance, if you have a development, and I think about, like the development they have in Orange, Lascana, that people are talking about. It's a 100% affordable housing development of like 46 units. The owner oversees the affordability in there. And so that has to be reported. So they would track the affordability. You have to verify that information every year, and that has to be reported to the town, because the town has to accumulate that information, and by January 31st of every year, they have to report that to, I don't know if it's OPM or Department of Housing, but they have to report that for the 8-30G appeals list. If you're talking about like smaller developments, like if somebody was going to build an ADU and they're going to rent it out to a low-income person, and that's going to count towards, the list, that becomes the town's obligation. And so they would have to have the capacity of, verifying the information to make sure that that person does meet the eligibility for being low income. But it really depends on the construct of the housing development.
You might want to mention about Lucy Street because it's switching.
Yeah, Lucy Street, I'm not sure if folks heard, but looks like we are going to have a new owner for Lucy Street. It's a nonprofit organization, New Samaritan, nonprofit organization that specializes in
Sounds good.
elderly housing and, providing supportive services, and because it's a nonprofit, it's able to bring in the public, subsidies and the public funding needed to revitalize the property, and because of that, they will be able to make all the units affordable. Because right now there's only 6 units that are affordable, but they'll give us 30 units of 30 units.
I thought they were already sort of like naturally affordable, and so
Yes.
that wouldn't actually gain us any.
Well,
You're
in
correct.
terms of the.
You're correct.
In terms of the percentage.
Mhm. Yeah.
In some ways it doesn't, in some ways it does.
Yeah, no, in
Which is
terms
good
of the
that they're
number, I mean,
going to be
it's a
officially
good thing,
yeah.
but right,
Mhm.
doesn't move the dial on the numbers, but
Mhm.
because, right, the way it existed, there was only 6 affordable units. But because it was financed by Chaffa, all the units, it wasn't because he kept the rents low, it was because it was financed by Chaffa, had the mortgage on it. But in fact, he did keep the rents low, and so that was actually a really good example of naturally occurring affordable housing, because he kept the rents low, and that's one of the reasons why he wasn't able to reinvest in the property, because he didn't want to raise the rents on folks.
He was a private owner.
He was a private owner, yes.
Two questions on that, just because I'm so curious. One, what would we have to do to make them qualify? Like the new unit, like the renovation with that building, what would we need to do to help those units qualify as, deed restricted?
They are. The
All
buildings-
30 of them?
They're all going to be affordable. Are you talking about Lucy Street, or are you talking about another hypothetical?
No,
development?
Lucy
Doesn't
Street.
Add to it's not a net new because they're already considered affordable.
But I thought they were just considered affordable, but they weren't actually like documented, deed restricted affordable.
No, they were documented. They were
all
on the
30
list.
of them, or
Yeah.
just 6?
All 30 of them was documented. There were 6 of them that were deed restricted affordable, but because the 30 units were financed by Chaffa, it counted on a list. Now, you could have if there's a homeowner that has a Chaffa mortgage, that also counts as an affordable unit on a list. So there's other ways of doing this, and that's why I talk about a multifaceted approach. We have tried to encourage. I think, did I talk to you about that? And I talked to a couple real estate folks to try to encourage people to try to steer them into getting a Chaffa mortgage, because there's some houses and the value of the house went up for Chaffa mortgages, and so there's a possibility that you could use a Chaffa mortgage to purchase a home, and then that would count towards the affordability list.
Does it count if they refinance this with Chaffa rather than just purchase a home? I mean, could there be a house that somebody doesn't have Chaffa, and then they remortgage with
a Chaffa? I think Chaffa is not only for the first time home.
It's first time home buyers, but
Yeah.
you cannot own a home for 3 years and then can be considered another first time home buyer.
Oh,
Can you
I don't know if we can
refinance
do
with
refis.
Chaffa? I think you can.
Yeah, me.
I think you can. So I'll have to
Okay.
talk to my
Check the
husband.
and how do we know who
Yeah.
are Chaffa? Is it public knowledge?
There's
maybe?
The Housing Finance Authority.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are giving the developers money. Part of the money is coming
Oh.
from Chaffa if they put in so many affordable housing
Oh,
houses.
I see. That's
Yeah.
interesting. But can we get a list of houses that could qualify? I mean, we could promote that, or you could promote that.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get realtors to promote that, to try, and we were trying to go through the realtor groups.
Well, they have a time to own. Chaffa is giving out $50,000 from the state of Connecticut for first-time home ownership. So that's
Oh,
part of this initiative.
Wow.
Yes, they're doing that. There are so many different first-time home buyer programs. There's the equity program. Hartford has a program. My husband has put together, I think, close to 90,000 for one person when you add all these programs for first-time home buyers. So there's programs out there. And I just
Seems
wanna
like a good candidate for your committee.
Well, I
Yeah, no, I love
Her husband, I'm
My
saying.
husband,
Oh, your husband.
and I wrote something, I just want to tell you who, I consider myself in private housing. You're in public housing.
Well,
I-
no, we're both. No.
What, you're not in private house, you're not a realtor or a loan officer, so you're in public. You're, well, maybe.
I'm not
We're not in
anything.
any of that.
Okay, well, if you're working with the homeless, that's kind of like public. So I'm in private housing. I've received my license in 1986. I'm not new. My first client was Clara Henry from a housing project. She was coming out of Elm City Housing Project. She had 8 children and grandchildren. She was an immigrant. She was my first client, but she wasn't my first close because it took me 6 months to get her into a house. And back then I worked with People's Bank and I worked with Chaffa. And back then Chaffa was in and it was out. It was not always out. It was in and out. You had to catch Chaffa. And so we worked with the program, and the program was income driven. She was not married at the time, so she qualified. But the parameters were very tight.
Yeah.
We ended up getting her into a multiple family house in the Hill on Howard Avenue, and but we worked with her. She changed her credit. She worked on her debt. We told her to work overtime. She did that. We changed Clara. We didn't change New Haven. We changed Clara.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say that I don't really like some of this affordable housing, because I feel that it's an incentivized for things that we're trying to get away from. Single family households.
True.
When that came out in the 70s, a lot of households went down to single families.
Yeah.
That's what happened. We feel that people can own homes. Maybe not by themselves, but with other people. It could be a brother, it could be a sister. I don't like, and I'm from Bridgeport, and Bridgeport had a lot of housing developments. And it would have been a good thing, but there was no mitigating factor for it. You put a lot of people together, low income, and what I thought was going to happen, and I have people who were in Section 8 and such, I thought there would be a program. I thought there was some type of program that went along with the subsidy. That someone would come in and counsel them, that they would do financial literacy, that maybe there would be a parenting class. I thought there would be some kind of mitigating factor to help them change, and that it would be a temporary thing, and then that they would be off and other people would come on. That's what I thought. And that's not the way it's been handled.
Yeah, well, we could talk about this, I think, all day.
That's
But
a
we're
good
talking
point,
about it
though.
now.
No,
I
I
think
think-
for
I
it to
think
come
that-
into
I
this
think the
town
most
and you're not really telling people what this really could be about.
I think the most important
Right.
thing to realize is that the term affordable housing is sometimes misinterpreted to apply only to a particular type of affordable housing, whereas it is a very broad term. And it affects, for example, as we mentioned
what
here,
we've been dealing
people
with
here
is
in Woodbridge.
The
yeah.
type of affordable housing that might be more like what you're talking about.
It will
Is being
encompass
promoted.
everybody. It will, if affordable housing, I think that they're saying teachers, firemen, they are not typically on, if that's what it's for, but when you start talking about deed restrictions, that says to me a certain type of housing. When you're
Yeah,
thinking
but
about deed
I think
restrictions-
maybe that's where the misunderstanding is, because I think you're talking about Section 8, public housing, 30% AMI. That is not what we're talking about for Woodbridge. We're talking about to focus at the, the 60%, 80% AMI, to include your teachers and your policemen and the people that work in town and your dental hygienists and because we find that there's 93% of the people that work in Woodbridge live outside of Woodbridge. So to be able to create that social fabric where the teacher that teaches your child or the dental hygienist who cleans your teeth would be able to be part of the town that they dedicate their work time to.
It's funny, I can't remember which teacher said this, but right now, like I think we're talking like rental properties primarily.
Yeah, or
One of the teachers that's in town, I can't remember if he's the high school or the junior high, but he lives in town, he's married, 4 kids, owns a house, and now with the reevaluation and the increased taxes is like, I can't even afford to live here anymore, right? But his goal was to like own his own house and have land and space and raise his family here. And I think there are, I don't know, so many varying factors about affordable housing
Right.
and
I
wanting
also
to come
wanna-
into.
There's capital A
I'd like-
and there's small a.
Yeah, I think that's.
Capital A is what we're talking about,
or
with
middle.
Chaffalo's and.
I just also
deed
want to
restrictions.
highlight a possible, Kathy, I like your idea of working together in creating a housing, but somehow in that context, it's like there can be land and there can be people and it can all go well. But we're forgetting about is that land and these creatures require not just being told, okay, now you can live next to some group of people. They have specific needs for food and amount of space and light and noise. And I think that's not being respected to the degree that it needs to be respected by housing. Because it's like, okay, there's open space and there's housing and we can all get along. But these bats don't want, light from the street lights right next to them. They can't do that. Even though it's a concept that it's a nice idea, the reality isn't such. And so I think land needs a little wider girth than that kind of construct. I'll get to you in a second.
Oh, I know.
But
You
it's
will.
like, it's not like a shopping mall where you can just, people can go buy their clothes and they can stay. It's like these creatures are on a very delicate balance and having a hard time. And we can't fit it into our construct as comfortably as we'd like to.
If I could just piggyback on that, and then, so
I'm used
sorry.
to going to the back of the line.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Is that how they do to you at your
I'll
meetings
just-
too? No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I'll just say
more
that
patient than most.
I agree, and I feel like one of the biggest takeaways that we could do together as commissions is sort of figure out how do we decide where we put this stuff, because we're really concerned about where. And you guys obviously are the experts in housing, and it's really complicated. Just the last conversation we have, it's really complicated. But if we could come to some way that we can we can have a decision-making process or something like that, that we can figure out, where's the best place to put stuff. I think that would be a big win. So,
This sort of puts a point on an innate problem that we have in governance. Okay, we have to be very careful not to fall into the trap of single-factor analysis. In other words, we get tunnel vision about certain kinds of housing. You might get tunnel vision about conservation and the bats, and these are legitimate concerns. There are also other concerns. There are people being priced out of town, okay? The housing stock for not just low income, but middle income people is very limited here. The fact of the matter is the taxes have gone up. We don't have a big manufacturer, we don't have a big commercial base to support us. We don't have the post road like Orange. And we need to take all of those things into consideration. That's at the level of the Board of Selectmen
That's
and others.
exactly what I want to speak to. Are you done?
Not yet.
He's just getting started. Let him finish.
All right, my
He was
turn.
patient. Let him finish.
Yo, really? God.
We're so excited.
we're listening.
So no.
Gabby's falling asleep, but the rest of us are really excited.
Well, we listen to her all the time. So.
No, I meant.
So no. But I mean, but I think, and so we have to take into there's going to have to be compromises made at all levels to make this work. But it also means that everyone needs to keep that in mind and have an open mind about things. I mean, there are we may not be able to get everything the ideal situation because we have so many challenges, but we need to be mindful of that and open-minded toward compromises. And I think one thing about the housing stuff is, look, people who are aging out, okay, don't have a place to downsize really in town. And even with the developments been going on, the more recent development, Chaffa may have raised its threshold, but it's still over $500,000. What houses are in Woodbridge are under that level? Not that many. Okay, so the opportunities aren't there yet unless we address things in terms of development and we address things in terms of finding subsidies for housing and finding places that we can build housing and have the infrastructure and stuff. We're not going to get anywhere, and the town is going to atrophy. Or there's that danger. And I did want to say one other thing about the housing. So we are looking at or trying to identify ways to get housing that's not just not just affordable in the sense that it meets the 30% the threshold, AMI threshold, but also stuff that people can rent. That maybe our kids could come back here and live. Kids can't come. You get out of school, they're 5-6 years out. They can't live here.
So,
Okay. She's the boss. Don't look at me.
I know. Deal with, right? So I love what you just said. One thing, I live at the intersection of development and the environment. That is my world. That is what I do all day, every day. I look at our buildings and I see how they can impact the environment, and I look at our buildings and I see how they can help our environment. And just like what you said a second ago, people have tunnel vision on things that are, and I'm paraphrasing here because I'm not remembering perfectly. People have tunnel vision on topics and items that are important to them. And I think no one topic is, greater, lesser value. Maybe the environment's a little better. But, greater, lesser, I think they're all important topics, right? People need housing. We need housing. When my husband and I were living in New Haven and we needed a house, there was no question that we were coming to Woodbridge because of the MAG program at Beecher. Like, that was set in stone, right? Because of the trails that we had here, because of the church that I grew up in, that I wanted to stay, right? The library, the daycare that was created by parents, in the town many, many years ago. There were many reasons why Woodbridge was the answer for us, and then trying to find a house. We happened to be lucky enough to get it right when everybody crawled out of the COVID cave and found one extremely low priced, which probably I couldn't afford today if I needed to move into town and I wanted to. So I recognize that, you know, people want to be here and we want people here, right? And planning we should be mindful. I agree fully with Ben, right? And while we sort of joke like, we know that, you know, you want to be around the bats or whatever, like, end game is we have one planet that we're on, and we all have the right to breathe clean air and drink clean water and run around in fields and have access to green space, and that's important for us, right? So there is a balance. When it comes to developing buildings, and that's the other half of the world that I live in, right? Buildings. There are buildings that you can build that perfectly balance with the environment, that utilize the environment so that we drive down the resources and the operational costs, and, you know, thousands of styles, right? I feel like the Germans have it right. Just coming back from Germany, and some of the buildings that they have there are unbelievable with passive house. But one thing that concerns me about developers in housing who are trying to just come in and make something, and margins are a real factor, you know, profit margins are a real factor for them, is then they put up a building that ultimately, even though the rent may be affordable, the cost of utilities, the cost of energy for folks is disproportionate for their income, right? And so a higher percentage of folks in affordable housing have a higher percentage of their income goes to cover their utilities, right? So there's no place in the world where I would be against housing, but I'm against housing that puts people back even further in any other way, right? So when I think about folks who are coming into town or folks who are trying to attack to town, or even trying to increase the number of affordable units that we have in town, capital A, little a, whichever A we're using, I want to make sure that the houses that they get into are healthy for them, are not hugely impacting the environment, and are affordable in the operation of the cost, like of the operation of that building, because they're going to be in there hopefully for years and years and decades and generations and generations. And it's important that, you know, that the cost of living there, the cost of energy, that the houses are net zero and super high efficiency and can power themselves. And I realize that some developers don't find that as a priority. You know, they want to throw a building up that's whatever the highest that they can and put whatever they can in densely, you know, packed units together, and I understand the need and the want to like sort of wham bam hit them all together, but it's this idea of, you know, are we really doing like the best that we can for the folks who want to live there?
I suggest
I'm
that this is a very good example of why we should work together.
Yep.
On the operating assumption that we have to build some housing, that we need to do it well, we need to pick the right developer, we need to do it with consideration, and we need to have other factors that we may not know about brought to the attention of the process when we're going through it. So, I mean, we've kind of seen some of this on the Country Club of Woodbridge property. We have certain expertise and ideas and connections and background to bring into the discussion, and other people do too. But the process hasn't been one which encourages that kind of cross-fertilization.
I agree.
And I think that's what we need to have.
I think we need.
We talk about buildings. I'm sorry,
Sharon.
Well, let's say this
You
really
thought you
quickly.
were in charge.
Talking about large buildings in 94 units, but that's market rate, and 12 are affordable. That's not, so we're really not talking about affordable, we're talking about market rate of rentals, and with that scenario, 12 were affordable.
But we weren't-
If you thought for a second that there was anybody on this committee that thought that was a good idea, you would be mistaken.
But no one said anything.
Well,
Yeah.
no, actually, they did at their last meeting. And are we
talked
allowed to
about
talk
it,
about it
yeah.
with Kathy here?
I
People said it on
I'd
our
like to talk maybe hypothetically
Wait,
about.
I want to talk.
Well, no, if you want to talk, I'll leave.
No, wait, no, just point of order,
I
Sharon.
cannot talk about either.
Kathy's on
policy.
TPZ, she can't talk about that.
That's fine, but I would like to.
Yes, but as
I
long as
think
you're not
make
gonna
a
talk
point.
about that.
No, I'm not going to talk
Fountain,
about that.
sorry, just point of order, we can't discuss that with Kathy because
Well, just in general, though.
Right, I
we're
could talk
talking
about
you're
it.
talking
I
about
would love to
affordable
talk about
rentals.
in general if that's
And
okay.
we're conflating a lot of words.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on here. You're saying teachers, firemen. I'm going to tell you, theoretically, firemen and teachers are not on, let's say, with the Housing Authority of Section 8. Do they want market rent? Yes.
Yes.
Maybe they want that. But so your people are conflating words, and what's being presented are market rentals, not affordable. But you come in and they're talking about affordable, but it's not affordable. It's market rent. You're changing Woodbridge
but
for just in general and for market rent. And the other thing I want to say is, going back to 1986, as a realtor, I was taught every town is not the same. We were taught that. We were taught that there were some towns for the first time home buyers, then you buy a home, you buy a condo, you go a step up, you buy a house, you sell that, you go a step up, and then maybe you might end up in a town like this. That was what we were told. There were certain towns for your first house, and then you build
So
your
you're
way
saying
up.
the
And I
whole
think that's what a
construct-
lot of people have done here. They've sold several houses to be in, and that's what we were told.
So I think that's a really good point, because we're being told the context of new homeowners should all of a sudden be here, and that may or may not be the reality of how housing has
Historically,
gone.
yes.
But what I want to talk about is what you were talking about, Jim, that there's, young people and seniors, and there's affordable, and there's lots of different things that we all have to balance. But if we want to get granular, there's bats, there's the beech trees, there's the,
Didn't
so
say
it-
that was, they didn't
Wait,
say
I
that
just
that
wanted
was,
But I'm
that
just
should be
saying there,
ignored.
that, I know you're not saying that, but
And you can have my 6 or 7 dying beech trees in the back of my backyard.
that's not what I'm, that's exactly, well, wait, that's exactly why we need to have more land so that trees can regenerate themselves that are appropriate now for the environment. But what I'm trying to say is, it's simple to say we need housing, and there's all these different types of housing that are really important, and then there's the environment. But there's 100, the environment's so complex that you can't just say, oh, then there's the environment and we'll try to take care of it. We have to really say, are there grasslands? Are there forested lands? Are there, wetlands? And it's as complex as the need for housing. So I just I know you don't, but I think in the conversation, it's like, oh yeah, the conservation, we're giving them 10 acres, they should be fine. It's not how environments work.
Yeah, but on the other side too, for example, if you take 155 acres of land in a place where our taxes are getting higher and higher, and you take them off the board in terms of producing taxes, and on top of that, you have to pay to maintain them. Okay, that doesn't help the tax burden on people too. So you can take
Well, that's
that. You can
controversial.
take that.
But
But you could take this just hypothetically. I mean, the more land that you take off the table, okay.
No,
the
but
question-
wait,
so-
the more
so-
land you take off the table, statistics say the town is wealthier.
Oh, I find that
Yeah.
unusual.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
I think
I-
that's a key piece that we should really
Okay, so
suss
let's
out.
okay, so let's take so you're gonna take it to its absurd conclusion. You take all the development off, all the houses, and it's all land. You're gonna tell me that that's more valuable than if the.
Well, you don't have to have fire, you don't have to have roads, you don't have to have
But you
services.
don't have to
so
have
we
anybody
nothing.
there. You have
I'm just
nothing.
saying but you don't have nothing, you have the planet.
So can I say something I think is really important for all of us? I know we can't be here all night. We are both being beset by forces outside of the Conservation Commission, outside of the Housing Commission, outside of Woodbridge. Woodbridge sits in a place that is handy, that people want to live for a variety of reasons. One of them is convenience. We're close to New Haven. We actually do have a degree of public services and transportation that can be developed to put more people here. And the pressure is on from the outside.
We know that.
The pressure is on from the outside for all of us. And we've seen it, if we don't make some good decisions, the best decisions that we could make to provide for the things that people want and will come and take under circumstances that are not currently necessarily obtaining, but will develop over 5 or 10 or 20 years. If we don't take charge of that now and plan for our community, we won't have control over how it's done. That's what we need to do.
And that goes
Both
back.
of us, all of us together.
That goes back to my original reason why I got involved with the housing committee, because I was like, if you don't take control of where you want to do your affordable housing, someone else is going to come in and decide for you. So you want to be in control of your destiny of how your town looks. And so it's not whether or not you do it. It's whether it's how you do it. So I think we have to accept the fact that we do have to provide for affordable housing. The question comes down to, where there's going to be. Looks like there could be a legislative session this week that's going to decide the House Bill 5002 and what that looks like. And we're probably going to have a number that we're going to have to reach for, towards in 10 years. And we're going to have to totally revamp the housing plan because it's going to entail us to have a housing plan that identifies, based on the number that's given us or based on a number that we come up with and they agree with. We have to decide where are we going to do it and what zoning is going to have to be changed in order to allow that. So I think, again, it's something we need to work together. And I just wanted to bring
Becky,
up.
I just have a question. Is the population of Connecticut getting larger? Because I thought it was shrinking.
3.2 million.
I can,
Because if
It's sort of
this big
stable.
housing need is coming in this wave, why aren't there more? Why is the population the same? Or
We have
shrinking?
a growing number of homeless people because and
Well,
that's
a
enough.
different question.
Well,
the number of people hasn't changed.
It's 3.2 million.
So why is there a housing crisis if
Well,
the
that's what I've
population-
never understood.
It's,
Well,
because it's where they are,
Right, because
But
people.
is it,
where they're coming and where they're going from.
It's also a mismatch of housing, because we have different populations now. We have a growing increase of people, of people living by themselves or couples. They don't need the big houses, so we have a situation where we don't have the right housing configuration. We don't have enough one-bedroom, two-bedroom houses that would be able to,
So-
for people could
My
downsize.
question
And that's
I-
part of the dynamic is the
I thought
family
the point
size and
that-
structure
Yeah.
has changed.
Right,
Yeah.
so
And
that's,
expectations have changed for family. People went to college, women got their own apartments. They no longer, back in the 1930s, everybody lived together. They were
Right, right.
multi-generational. That's not happening anymore. After we got, went to college, the people from, and we
It's our appetite
graduated,
that's increased
the
rather than
expectations have changed.
increased number of
Or
people.
decrease.
well, and I thought,
It's
I
a mis-
thought it wasn't so much a housing crisis. I thought there was plenty of housing available in Connecticut. It's just, it's not affordable. I think that's what the,
That was my understanding.
The other thing is the affordability they came out, I think it's Harvard said it was 30% of someone's income should not be spent on a house, on their
30%.
household. 30%. So irrespective of where they're working, if their housing is more than 30%, it's unaffordable. So if you're making $12 an hour and you have a child and you think that you need your own apartment, nothing's going to be affordable because no one's going to be able to afford it. If $12 an hour, if you're making $30,000, your housing is going to be more than $10,000 because that's going to be $800 a month, and rents are no longer that. They're no longer. So that is part of the expectations. People are living alone. They're not living in larger families, but I will tell you that when we qualify people for a mortgage, we are not qualifying for 30%. We're qualifying at 45%. So 30% is the first ratio, and that's for the house. However, we counsel the people and we tell them, pay off your car card debt, pay off your credit cards, that house becomes 45%. And that is how people are getting into houses, at a 45% ratio. So they're suffering too. And
Yeah,
that is
it's
just
co- yeah,
at the
the cost
time
burden,
that they're
yeah.
buying their house. If they lose their job, or if their husband or somebody leaves, or there's an illness, they're paying quite a bit of money. So it's not, so they're saying that renters, no, homeowners are in distress as well. Very much so, especially with the taxes, and the insurance in Connecticut went up astronomically. Because and the reason why I talked to one insurance company, they said it costs a lot to repair a home in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Because part of the problem is we don't put money in blue collar electricians and plumbers. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're not putting money. Everybody wants to go to college, which is great, but they're not
Big up
putting
for
money
the tech
into
schools.
electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and they're driving the prices up. I also renovate houses.
Then you know.
I renovate houses. I am a landlord. I am a realtor, and I'm a loan officer.
Yeah,
So I have gone to eviction court. I know why they're homeless. The other reason why they're homeless is, as I said, Section 8 standards have gone up. They can't pass the inspections. Can't pass the inspection. They're giving you a list. They're saying, hey, Mr. Landlord, I want you to fix this with $30,000. Landlords are saying no.
Can't do it, yeah.
You got to leave. That's what's going on. But you're not. This is not coming out.
So I think this conversation needs to have this complexity to be really addressing the situation, because we could get people in here who are just stressing out completely because they can't, you know, for affordability, they can't keep up with what. I mean,
Well-
I think we have to get some real
Well, we have
data.
to narrow our focus on what we're working on here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Unfortunately, we can't solve all problems.
our goal really is to create some units of affordable housing, but I did want to just kind of explain in terms of an equity issue, in terms of, you know, I know you talk about like preserving land, and some land, we want to make sure that we're not, you know, infringing on undeveloped land, and that provides corridors, and you know, I'm not ecologically savvy as you are, but I just, in terms of zoning, I just want to kind of explain the equity issues we have in zoning. So if you want to,
Like in Woodbridge in particular, or just
in
in
Woodbridge,
general?
well, it's actually it's in a lot of the towns, but in Woodbridge in particular, you could build a single home as of right anywhere. So you could build a single home in residential A. I'm talking about residential A. So let me confine it to residential A, which is, you know, most of Woodbridge. You could build a single-family house in the water supply watershed without access to any public water, public sewer, as big as you would like to build. You know, I had a house down the street that they built. It was on a, you know, lot that was forested. It was lots of trees. It was ledge, and you know, they cut down the trees. They blasted the ledge, you know, because it would kind of shook our house down the street. But they could do that because they're building a single-family house, and no one was concerned whether or not that ledge was of, you know, ecological significance, you know, because it was a private house, and they were able to do that.
I don't know if nobody was concerned, but
But it happens.
I'd be concerned.
But-
Shook
The other
my
side of the
house.
coin.
But the other side of the coin is, if you wanted to build a 3-family house, so that's a multi-family house, you have to build it in an area that's not in the water supply watershed, which is only 30% of residential A, and it has to have access to public water, public sewer. But with the single-family house, you just got a permit. You could do whatever you want, as big as you want, and they had a flat roof.
We are so in favor of what you're saying.
Okay.
Add more restrictions to single family homes.
No, okay, but
Solid.
I want to get to my point. I want to get to my point.
Well, your point, we know your point.
In order to build that 3-family house in not in the public water supply watershed, and you know, and maybe it has the gable roof and everything, that has to go for a special exception that has to go for public hearing, and that gets people out there to say, oh, no, we'll have to
Kathy.
cut down a tree, you have to, you know,
I
you
don't
might
think
have.
that's accurate, because I was on wetlands, and lots of things had to go for public hearing. If you had a wetlands crossing, you had to.
I'm talking about something without a wetlands.
Well, even blasting, even some other, even ecological, I mean, and that
They
specific
don't
house
even
that
have
you
to
were
blast.
talking
And
about.
cutting down trees, we've been trying to get
A
a
tree ordinance, so we're not thinking
going
that
to,
we
we're
wanna
not.
loosen the multifamily house, and we'd like to, we'd like to make it more equitable, that even single-family houses can't destroy the environment. We're not saying we'd like both multifamily and single-family houses to destroy the environment. That's not what we're saying.
But I'm just saying that this is
Why
why
is there a difference?
there's an equity issue that single-family, this is why single-family houses could build anywhere. If you build a multifamily house, people could come out and fight it, and that's what's happening. And this is a an issue where it's not fair for something like a three-family house. And I'm talking about it was on a piece of property, maybe it was already developed. There's still gives reasons for people to come out and say they don't want to for whatever reason. Oh my God, it's a three-family house, it's gonna
So-
overflow to schools, things of that sort. I'm just trying to bring to your attention the difference between building a single-family house with all the improvement between the tennis courts and the pools and the driveways.
Listen, we understand what you're saying about the single family house and how, it's like no holds barred, right? They build what they want to build.
Mhm.
And to a certain degree, right? Wetlands and blasting. But for 2 or 3 years, we've been reaching out to TPZ to say we want to help with the landscape regulations. We know that you're revising regulations. We've done research on tree ordinances and other communities that have landscape, working on, limiting erosion in communities, specifically from, blasting and completely clear cutting trees and
Clear-cutting.
vegetation. So I agree that the two are not equal, and I don't think either are perfect. I don't think we want to start getting into the game of restricting the public from speaking their opinions on
Well, the point I'm-
development in general.
Right, but the point I'm making is that for a single-family house, it's as of right. For a multifamily house, you have a public hearing, and people
But I
can come
think- I
out
think
and fight back on multifamily housing. That's
Ben, what do
that's
you-
the point I'm
okay,
trying to
Ben.
make.
Yeah, so I think from a conservation perspective, though, because that's really the perspective we're always trying to bring about. So I completely hear what you're saying about the equitability. I agree with you. From a conservation standpoint, a three-family house, I mean, you guys might not agree with me. I would probably be okay with that, right? And there's never been, in my time on the commission, there's never been a three-family house that has come up to us and we've said, no. So it's really, it's really kind of what I think Diana was saying about that we would love to be part of the conversation when those regulations are being made, because the regulations weren't changed to just, these zoning regulations allow much larger house, apartment complexes, and that's actually really different from a conservation standpoint. I think that if we could provide some input to these decisions, and hopefully we'll have some dialogue going forward. I think that a lot of the stuff that you guys have been talking about, like, you'll find that we agree with some of it.
Yeah.
But there's enough nuance there that it's going to take hard work. Saving the planet is really hard. Saving people is really hard, and we have to really do the hard work to make that happen.
And
Can
I
I
guess
ask
I would like to see you guys coming a little more to valuing the environment. I don't
Oh,
hear
we
that.
Can I ask a question along the lines of, wouldn't it make more, wouldn't you use less land to build a two-family or a three-family? And if that's the case,
Land were only the
No,
only factor.
no.
right?
But then you're conserving, in a sense, you're conserving open space. because you're not using that open space to build a bunch of singletons. If you can build, use less land area, you got
Yeah.
more open
Well, the
space.
problem
Isn't
is
that right?
that someone builds that 3-family here, and then they build it here, and then they build it here, and they build it here. So yes, if there was one 3-family and then all this space was truly saved, that would be a different issue. But 2 years later, somebody comes and says, oh, now I got to do this 3-family, now I want to do it
Conservation
here.
easements.
That's exactly what we're talking about. If you value conservation and you value open space, and we all do, for everybody, not just for us, you put more buildings in a smaller footprint, and you leave all the rest of that space
With
free.
an
Right.
easement?
But you
Cluster
plan
housing.
together
Why not use
to
conservation
do that,
easements?
to position the development in a way that is most effective from the point of view of conservation and the enjoyment of open
I
space.
think that's
I think
Good
most people
point.
agree with the 2-family. I think there was some opposition to the 94 units and just having 12 affordable. So we're talking about, and I agree, we know that there's pressure from outside. That is exactly what everyone is feeling, that there is pressure from outside. But I don't think anybody has first of all, a 3-family in mortgage terms is 1 to 4 is
Single family.
residential.
Right.
3-family to build is called commercial, and I didn't know that. It's commercial, because I have a 3-family, and I tried to renovate it, and they told the building committee it's totally different from mortgages. 1 to 4 is residential.
3-family like this?
3 is commercial. Once you get off
Vertical or
after 2,
horizontal?
once you leave a 2-family, 3 is commercial from a building perspective. So it's not the same thing as mortgages. So I just wanted to say, I don't think people have a problem with putting it in the right place where it's already zoned and where they have water and sewer. It's when you start putting it into well and septic, you put a 3-family, it's not Woodbridge, it's gonna be the regional water, it's gonna be, Naugatuck Valley is gonna have a problem with it, not Woodbridge. They're gonna come out and they're gonna look, because they have to make sure, how many bathrooms will that be? Will that be 3 bathrooms or 6 bathrooms? Because you have to make sure that you have enough, leaching fields, or
Oh,
the
you're talking
septic
about
tank is
this,
large
septic
enough.
system.
So I don't know what they were upset about when you said that they came out, but it has to make sense with the building department, a 3-family, in terms of the bathrooms. They go by number of bathrooms. That's what we go by. And when we're building, you go
Yeah.
by the number of bathrooms for not the Regional Water Authority,
Quinnipiac.
not the
Quinnipiac Health
Quinnipiac.
Authority.
And
That's-
Quinnipiac goes by the number of bedrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, but-
Bedroom, okay, bedroom.
So I-
Sorry.
Wrap this up in 10 minutes, because we've already been here now.
If you hear all that.
Yeah? Diana?
We could, we're solving
very
problems.
Did we-
Tonight,
No, I
cancel the rest of the agenda. We are not going home. We're gonna filibuster.
I would love to just, if we could have maybe a next step.
Yeah.
Certainly, we have, and again, I think folks know that we are evolving into a housing commission. So next month will be our last meeting as a housing committee. And then thereafter, we will be, so you might be talking to a whole new cast of
We may have a whole new
characters.
bunch of people.
We'll see. Again, we don't know what's happening, but there's a couple. I would love for perhaps continuing this conversation at our next meeting. If you could come, maybe you guys could come and sit with us for
Yeah.
as long as
Well,
I
we
think
need
this
a
is
few
a really.
months to regroup and see where the election and who gets reappointed, because lots of our commission may have changed, and I think we need to kind of clarify our group
Yeah.
first
Well,
before
we
we
can
come
schedule
before you
something
again.
unscheduled if you want.
When is your next meeting?
December
We're the first Wednesday of the year.
December 3rd, and I also wanted to advise the Conservation Committee, though this probably falls on your next meeting date, but if you would think about, doing this instead. We're having a training on December 4th. That's going to be, it's targeted for a required training for land use officials. So it's going to be on affordable housing, fair housing, policies, and we're also gonna have somebody coming in to brief the town on what to expect as a result of, the housing bill that may be passed. And we don't know if the housing bill is going to be passed, but in the event a housing bill is passed, there's gonna be certain planning implications for the town that they have to understand and be aware of and be able to plan for. So we're gonna have Sean Giel from the Partnership for Strong Communities come in and talk about the housing bill and how that would impact, Woodbridge, and some, strategies for how to plan and how to work towards, complying with whatever the
What
state's.
time is that?
When is that?
That is scheduled for December 4th at 6 o'clock. The place is still to be determined because I'm trying to get the JCC. That's where I had it like a couple years ago. So all I could tell you at this point is, place is to be determined, but it is December 4th, starting at 6 o'clock. And we have Attorney Mark Brantz, who did the training a couple years ago, doing the affordable housing, fair housing piece, and Sean Giel doing the legislative piece.
All right, I wanted to get back to my comment that I was going to make a second, but I think those are good things to note. You were talking about the footprint of a building. Sorry, I was raising my hand.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
footprint of a building, right? So, wind turbines. Stay with me for a minute here. Wind turbines, right? Got a lot of flack when they were first sort of coming online here around like 2008, 2009. We started developing more of them, in America, just in general, especially in the Northeast. And so there was a lot of pushback on them from the Audubon community because it was wind turbines kill birds, right? Funny thing about wind turbines, even the ones that they have in offshore now, they have to do migratory studies on birds and bats and things and where they move to make sure that they're not put in harm's way. The number one thing that kills birds is buildings. And so when we look at buildings, we don't have those same requirements to say, okay, well, what is the migratory path that we're putting this in? And how is that going to impact? Energy is important. We need to produce hopefully clean, renewable energy that doesn't pollute our atmosphere. We need good housing to provide for everybody. Without birds and bees and pollinators, that we have no food, right? There's a balance. When you look at the footprint of a building and you say make it smaller, a benefit of a footprint of a building being smaller is that you've protected more of the green space around there, right? I wouldn't necessarily call the green space around it open space because of the proximity of the building, but at some point in time it becomes open space. But that's one factor of where we put a building, right? Another factor, the buildings go straight up. They have multiple units, hundreds of people. Everybody needs water, right? So we're pulling resources, even though it's one area, pulling resources, that don't see the same boundary that maybe the land space might see. And also, then we have impacts of how we look at the hydrograph, even though we can't see it, it's all underwater. We look at the watershed. We're looking at how that impacts surrounding communities, surrounding areas as well. So, well, you can just look at the footprint of a building and say, well, we've protected all this other open space. I also agree with single families. We should have some restrictive footprints, but don't get mad at me for that. All those folks who want to come build fancy houses, my house is under 1,200 square feet. And we are removing the driveway from it because it's create more green space. But there are a lot of factors that go into it, and just like there are with housing and trying to find the right places to make sure people have access to transportation. They can walk to jobs that are nearby, right? They don't have to have a car necessarily to get around, or they have access to other resources. you know, it's the same, we have to be willing to look at all the lenses around when we look at a project, and maybe we say, okay, there's 30 different lenses that we're looking at for a project. Not all of them, we can't make everybody happy all at once, but it's important to know, you know, what the impacts are from every perspective, so that at least, you know, when we get into it, when we get further down the line, when we start blasting at people's houses and disrupting the neighbors', you know, sewer systems and everything, we understand what those impacts are and why. And at least if we're thinking of them in advance before we put shovels in the ground, we can consider things like migratory paths, so that our buildings aren't, you know, maybe if we went down to 2 stories instead of 20, we can save so many sparrows. But, you know, and while that may not be a priority for all, probably a priority for some. So I think it's great to start by saying, look at the smaller footprint, because we protect more space, and I think that's a step in the right direction.
Well, I appreciate, again, giving us some time to be on your agenda, and we look forward to continuing this conversation. I know you got a big agenda, so I think we could
Make a motion to
Probably.
adjourn. Just kidding.
So can I, sorry, this is actually just looking forward to our next meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, a couple of questions that I would love to understand better is, and we can, you know, leave this for later, but maybe we'll, you know, think about it.
Yeah, you want to talk about agenda items for the next meeting?
Yeah,
I think that's
so
good.
one question that I really have is like, how do you develop your housing targets? Like, how do you decide this is the number of units that we need in Woodbridge? And I know there's that 10% thing. Is that what we're just trying to hit? Or is there
No,
a conversion
I
need,
will,
right?
I could tell you,
it's more
I could tell you
Aspiration would
that.
Well, I don't want
not be,
to,
anywhere
this
near
could be
for a
next
while.
item.
Do you
I
have
don't
a
want to
number?
keep it going.
Do you have a number?
Well, there was a number, in HB 5002,
Yeah.
we had a number, and that was 332, over 10 years, 332 affordable housing. So that.
In the state, or?
Yeah.
No,
Woodbridge.
in Woodbridge. So that was
Yeah.
that was the number.
Talk about pressure from the outside.
Yeah. I
Who's
think
we?
that number has.
But what's that passed?
So I don't want to
Yeah.
like
Well,
derail
no.
because I have a lot of questions.
Exactly.
Anyway,
But they're coming up with, because they want to move to, you know, have towns come up with the number they think is reasonable for what they could possibly do, given you know, everything. So I'm not sure if that's going to remain the number, or we come up with a number. So maybe it'll be more like, because we had come up with, I know people went crazy when we said 500 units over 20 years. So that would be like 250 units over 10 years. So maybe that's, you know, maybe that's a number we say, well, maybe not 332, but maybe 250 units over 10 years. And I think that's pretty doable. But so I think what goes into creating a number probably has a lot of different factors. We do have a planner now. We have a.
Wait, I think you just want to keep going on what your many
yeah,
questions,
we
right?
don't
We're
have
not
to get
gonna
into
answer
it.
them.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I
I
think-
don't
I
want to
think-
have a long discussion
let's,
about it.
Let's him
Right, I
continue.
think
Because I actually have one more thing I wanted to add on, so I don't want to keep you guys here too long either.
Yeah.
So the other thing I would love to work on together is sort of figure out like what is the low hanging fruit. So I know you guys have sort of like a multifaceted plan, and I feel like there's got to be some stuff in there that like everyone agrees on. You know, we agree on, the rest of the town agrees on, and the reason for that is I think that's where we're gonna get things moving the fastest, and that's where we're gonna help people the fastest. You know, if we can sort of figure that out and charge ahead on that while we figure out other stuff, I feel like that would be a big win for everybody.
Yeah. No,
Sort
we,
of a cognate issue. I mean, I think, because I think that makes a lot of sense. It would be helpful to know if there are areas that you feel really are just absolutely critical and shouldn't be touched, or only be touched lightly if they are of open space. I'd like to know where those are. Because you know.
Like the country club, for example.
Well, you know, no. I read the stuff. I got it. Okay. Nobody's hiding anything on anybody here. Okay? I understand that.
I would almost see it a slightly different way. So, I mean, I think that like we should start with, I mean, this is an ideal analysis in my mind, is like start with what's the number that we need to get to, and then where would we put stuff that would minimize the effect on the environment, and how far can we get, you know, before we get to these
You're gonna get them
critical
into
things.
data.
This look on my face is I'm wishing we had a lot of options here to choose between,
Yeah.
but we don't.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be, there are gonna be some tough decisions we have to make.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, this is for next time, but I would like to understand that, because I didn't see that there weren't, you know, I didn't see any of that sort of analysis in the plan, and so I'm not sure, you know, where that statement comes from, and we can talk about this more. You know, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I mean,
you
it will
guys have
be in
your
the
reasons.
plan, it'll be in
Yeah.
the next plan, and I'm thinking maybe what would be really good if I could make it happen, is have our new planner come in and talk about it, because he would be able to,
We have a new planner.
yes.
We
So,
have a new plan.
well, now we personally, the town,
town.
the town has a new planner. So, I think that would be good, you know, and he would be able to explain how to do that type of analysis, because I think they are starting with, you know, from what I would understand, the low hanging fruit, which is what we started with like two and a half years ago.
Wasn't Squawk doing more on that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we first came in, we said, well, we need to, you know, change the zoning in the business district to allow, you know, mixed-use housing. To me, that's a low-hanging fruit, you know.
I would agree. Yeah.
It's in-
And I think everybody
Uh-huh.
agrees with that,
Yeah.
except
It's in the
maybe
plan.
some people who live in the flats. But, you know, that was our first recommendation. We made it to, we recommended it to TPZ to say, this is a change we want to make. But,
3 years later.
yeah, now to TPZ, even though it's planning and zoning, I have to say they're not much on the planning side. So I think maybe it's on us to just really try to push the planning a little bit more. So with that, I think we should let you guys go.
Do you have anything else, Robin? Are you done?
No, we'd love to
That's good, yeah.
stay more, but,
Okay.
we
I
just
just
want
wanted to say thank you.
Thank you,
very much.
thank
Thank you
you.
guys. I felt like this was a good conversation.
Maybe we should get sustainability in the same room too.
Yeah, no, that's the
I'm
next
here.
committee. Are you sustainable?
Got it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta talk to you.
Which one to talk about? Heat pumps? Hit me up.
Doesn't everyone?
Come on, weatherization. Get your energy audits done now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good night.
Have a
what
good
are you
day.
saying?
thank you guys.
Kathy, what are you saying?
No, I was asking for water. I didn't need a
Oh,
refrigerator.
Kathy's serving water?
Cups. Oh, thank you.
Bye, you guys. Thanks for coming by.
All right, take care.
No, isn't it wonderful? It's just fantastic. 2 feet on the floor, life is good. Just because they don't go very far.
Okay, so now we're going to old business. Does everyone have a copy of the agenda?
All right. We have more meeting to do.
There is no trail cleanup this month.
Okay,
I don't think they're doing it again until like March.
okay. That's good to know.
Can I back up 2 seconds?
Yeah.
With the,
Do we want to wait for Val to come back? Or are we good? Okay. No.
into what's happening?
Uh-huh.
I just want to give everybody a heads up. It's not very soon. It's in January, but maybe even because of us, a man by the name of Mike Allen, who's this century's expert, is coming and giving a talk at the library on the Leatherman.
Oh.
And he's extremely excited that we have found his lair.
Do you know when that date is?
I think it's the 10th. I can't be sure, but I think it's the 10th of January.
Of what month? January 10th?
Jan.
At the library. Okay, cool.
Just wanted to get that.
Also, another fabulous event in the spirit of conservation. There is an upcycle workshop that is happening Friday, November 14th from 6:30 to 8 at the Woodbridge Center Cafe. BYOB and BYO on appetizers. And it's nice. You get to come in and learn about taking materials that maybe you were going to discard of and turn them into new things.
Fun. That
Gifts,
sounds great.
yes.
What's the
Up
date?
Cycle Workshop Friday, November 14th, 6:30 in the Woodbridge Cafe, Woodbridge Center Cafe.
Cool. Okay.
Registration is required.
Oh.
Space is limited.
I'm cool.
You're going?
And who do you register
gone.
with? How do you register?
You register at the green team at woodbridgeps.org.
Nice.
You got that, buddy?
Okay. Anything else? Any other happenings? Okay, old business. Blue Trails subdivision. They met with you when I wasn't here 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I've had a little update that there's a wetland site visit happening this weekend.
Cool.
And I don't know if we should be back in touch with them or what the,
I thought
if they need
you
more guidance for,
sent him some stuff. I had sent him some stuff.
What was
One
the
of
Blue
them.
Trail subdivision?
it's up by Dillon Road, it's
The one-
36
the gentleman,
acres.
He came in to speak with us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On the ridge.
Okay.
It's gonna be three different
Mhm, I
parcels
remember,
and a portion of it, and,
We had made some recommendations to him. The
Mhm.
portion of it he wants to.
so maybe we should be back in touch with, I mean, I wasn't here, so I never met him, but maybe you could be back in touch with him,
I
or-
could be, but my
Did we-
term is up, so
we
I
do
feel like
that
somebody who
in-
stays on longer should probably be the consistent voice.
All right,
Did
we'll
we
talk
do
about
those
it.
I'm
recommendations
going on
in writing?
vacation.
I'm curious. I don't know.
What?
Did we make those recommendations in writing, or was it just conversation?
We made recommendations in writing. I'll
In
pull
writing.
up.
Okay. You
The
don't, I
email?
don't need to, you don't need to pull them up, I just was curious.
And another sort of old business, new business is possibly getting someone like Brian Pines or other people too to educate us on easements and conservation, and what do people think about that?
Yes.
I would
Okay.
love
I
that.
had reached out to somebody today. We played phone tag a little bit.
Yeah, are there?
I mean, we
land
could
trust
start with
groups or-
Brian
yeah,
Pines and then
Brian
maybe
Pines.
branch out and even get, I mean, it might take more than one session over the
Mhm.
year to get, to understand how to usher people into the right kind of conservation options.
Mhm.
But I think we could be a resource, we should know more so that we can at least do some
Yeah, if there
ushering.
was somebody who could just sort of like present on, here's all the different ways of conserving things.
Yeah, I wonder
and-
if the forestry school could do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Should we just think about that? I'll talk to Brian Pines, but there might be other resources also if anyone hears about them. Fountain Street Development, does anyone know where that's at? I know they didn't show up for the last
I thought they were told not to show
public
up.
hearing
Yeah, wasn't the new one's like December
first.
Third.
4? Yeah. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I thought it might be
Maybe
December
Catherine knows.
1st,
December first?
but I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, you're right, Sharon. I've got December 1st.
What day of the week is that? Do you see?
That's a Monday.
Monday.
Monday?
TPC is always on a Monday.
Okay, so maybe at least some of us should go to that. Any volunteers?
Probably anyway.
Okay.
There's two postings for the legal notice hearing continuation at TPC for that day. Trying to find it there. It's just posted twice.
So is there going to be actually a public hearing portion of it, or is this just for, because they heard public comment in the last one, but they didn't get presentations from the applicant or the interveners. So I think there's probably definitely gonna be
I think it's a
two
continuation.
presentations,
The
and then they'll let people talk.
recontinuation of the combined public hearing held by TPZ at the October 21st meeting regarding the Fountain Street application for special exemption multifamily unit. The joint public hearing has been recontinued until regular meeting of TPZ, December 1st in the Senior Cafe.
So Ben, your question is, I don't know if there's any more people speaking. I think it's giving them a chance to have the last word.
It
and
says
Yeah, 'cause
public
they always
hearing
said-
continuation.
So there
So-
might be some public
Yeah.
comment then.
And I think people can write in public comments before then still. That's my vagrant. Should we move on to the Beecher Road property? Which I don't know much about, but maybe some other people know more about that than I
Oh,
do.
about the proposed
100
apartment building
unit
going up?
apartment building.
Right, that's all I know. But there hasn't come before TP&Z, it hasn't come before anybody.
But this was the one,
It's done by an 830G. It will not go before, from what I understand, TPZ. It does have to go before inland wetlands, and with an 830G state form, I don't think anything could be done to stop it. 830G stuff, you can look that up. We
But-
do have it posted down in the office, what an 830G is.
I
Right.
had understood, and I guess I'm wrong, that they had, in order to go with an 830G application, you had to have been turned down
I don't know about that, that's a Chris question, but this is what I understand, in case
First.
somebody asks me and she's not theirs. They did it through 830G.
And I read that 830G, 30%, there was a question as to what percentage had to be affordable.
Oh, 30%, yeah,
30%.
out of
So
100 units.
so if they're doing, how many units are proposed?
100.
So 100?
Yes.
So, okay, then 30 of them have to be affordable.
no,
Yeah, on
Yeah,
830G, 30%.
oh, I thought all of them had to be.
No, 30%.
30%.
I just have a basic question. When they do that, are all the smaller units the affordable ones, or do they mix the affordable ones with all the sizes of all the others?
However they want to do, what they're going to do basically is make the market rents, they're going to compensate. And then they probably will get money from Chaffin.
And my understanding is they don't designate like 30 apartments as affordable units, like physically, is they just say 30 of them have to be. So if somebody's in their house and they start to earn more money, they have to start paying market rate, but then a different unit will become an affordable unit. That's,
But you don't kick anybody out.
yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay,
And
that's
so-
sort of what I've heard too. I just don't understand the logistics of how that could work. But
Well, then how do we count it as part of the total that we're supposed to meet? Do we count it as 30, you're saying?
I would assume so.
I think it has to be more concrete than that, I think. I think that there's something that they're looking at, I think.
okay, well, we'll learn more.
Yeah.
The Woodbridge Country Club final report, I think, is coming out, or is being presented to the Board of Selectmen, has been presented to the Board of Selectmen. Does anyone know?
Yeah,
I
think
believe it
it's-
has, yes.
I
Yeah.
think it's been, yeah, I think it's out. So, I mean, I think we have to decide if we want to, write, our opinion on it. I mean, we kind of already wrote an opinion on the process, and I think a lot of that would be, there'd be a lot of overlap from what we already wrote. But, we could, if we wanted, come out with something, directly speaking to this plan if we wanted.
Yeah.
Well, this was going to be my question, but would this be the time to start the process of pushing for the 115-acre easement?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the other
We need
thing
to
to
start,
do.
well, I don't even know how we are going to do it, but it seems to me it might be timely to, because I think we're gonna have pushback on that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's momentum to conserve at least that portion because it's in the plan, so.
And also,
It's in the plan, it's not in the plan to.
you know, Mika did say at a meeting that he was expecting the Conservation Commission to have done that or do that. So I
Yeah,
think,
Nicole mentioned it too.
and Nicole and I talked, as well as a few other people, and she's ready to deal with it in January. I think some thinking about it would be a good idea.
Do you want to start a subcommittee?
Start a well, could do that. You mean with people from all around?
Amongst all of our members, a select few who could work on what that process is.
Would you consider that to have outside members too?
I think the subcommittee to work on this. I don't do anything we want. I mean, if we wanted to make it a subcommittee, it would have to be certain members of this. We just couldn't do 4. We'd have to be 3 or less, right? If you wanted to add people to it officially, then I don't know what the steps are. We'd have to ask. But if you wanted to just have people come in to provide advice, as long as it didn't affect the quorum, I think we could do that. Just like if we were calling, you know, Chris Sullivan at the Conservation District or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where it goes. Where do I find out whether a subcommittee can have outsiders on it?
Do we need to have outsiders on it, or are we trying to start a?
No, but it might
what
be.
do I think?
It would might. I find it might be intriguing. Might be advisable.
Oh, I'm not trying to stop anybody from participating on it. I didn't know if it was like a formality that we had to go through or not. But if you
Well,
want,
that's the question. Whether
Maybe
Then
we
I
should
can
all
have
go
a
to the
committee.
next meeting with ideas of what that committee is, and if we want to have people that are, who wants to participate in. I think also our committee's going to change a fair amount in the next 2 months. So maybe us being a little think tank before then, and then see how it shakes out in January. But I think all of us have a good idea of what we'd like to have happen, so we don't want to lose our insights before we, before the change that may occur.
I'm just considering that I think speed is of the essence here.
So,
And I'm considering the,
Barbara, do you want to get together next week? I'm traveling, but do you want to get together the
so
following week?
I'm traveling next week too, so, yeah.
I'm going to go to
Okay.
Boston. You want to carpool?
You can talk in
I'm
the
going
car.
by Boston, I'm going to Maine.
Drop me off on the way.
Okay?
okay, so let's
That
at
works.
least have a subcommittee of 2, and I'd like to be part of it as well.
Then we got the brain trust right here.
Yeah,
Well, I
happy
could-
to volunteer for the subcommittee.
But I think we can only have 3, so maybe the 3
I don't
of
need to
you-
do it.
I don't need to do it. Well, why don't can we talk about it? We want to have a subcommittee, and we will poll people's schedules and figure out what works best
Sure,
in a
sounds
meeting
good.
in 2 weeks. How's that for a plan?
Subcommittee meeting in 2 weeks.
Yep. Members to be figured out.
11/20. Something's
11/20.
happening on the 20th.
Woodbridge Country Club final report. Deep Trails. How are we doing with maps?
Tim is finally back from Paris.
Okay.
I did speak to him, and unfortunately, the answer he got was not an answer because that person wasn't around at the time. He's not quite sure that we are going to need any funds to create these maps.
Okay.
So, the idea would be to come up with something else, and we probably will be able to get the maps for free anyway. like they have been doing.
Okay, we have about $1,500 left in this grant.
15? Oh, I thought it
Yeah.
was only.
I think,
Are
that's
we
my
gonna-
guess.
Are we gonna do the, are
Do
we
the
gonna
what?
do the patches, the school patches?
Oh,
And
that's
that
right.
program, I
Have
think
we-
would be wonderful.
Have we talked about that?
Have
Do
we
other
talked-
people
no,
know about it?
No.
Is it on the
You-
agenda?
It's part of Deep Trails Grant.
Beautiful.
Would you want to tell people
Try
what
to
our
miss
thoughts
that
were?
Conversation.
The idea was to have patches made that kids love, and that make up a somehow where we can confirm, a way to confirm, and that when the kids go to all 14 of the signs.
They can take a picture of each
and
one.
Whether it's because they take a picture or however they can prove that they are, we say they've proven it, then they get one of these patches. It's a Woodbridge Trail.
So why don't we, Mike Hoffenbein actually made up a patch.
Yes, he did.
And what he's saying is that a patch is only so,
It's
you
small.
can't get much detail in it, so you have to be a little more general. I now remember, Barbara, you wanted the Historic Society and the different emblems on it, and he said in that type of patch it would be lost.
Correct. This was
But maybe what we do is we make one
an
kind of,
embroidered patch, but you might be able to do another kind of a patch that is not.
you know, we have enough money that we could commission both types of patches, and we could offer people the option.
I don't think we need to. I think we can decide on one or the other. And if we don't need to have the logos, the town and the Historical Society and the logos that, like we have on the signs, then the rest of the patch is perfectly acceptable.
So
An
just
embroidered
an
patch.
embroidered patch.
Yeah.
So should we make a vote and see if everyone agrees that we should?
Sure. Why not?
I propose that we create a patch that is given to people who've seen can confer to us that they've been to all the different historic DEEP trail signs, and the town gives them a patch, and we create a couple hundred of them into perpetuity.
Nice.
Any second?
Is that a motion?
Yes.
What's your
Oh,
motion?
motion.
I second it.
All in favor? Okay, so we will spend part of that money to create some
Right.
patches.
And I think we need to come up with a system of how do they prove to us that they've been there. I mean,
Well-
just a picture isn't gonna do it, because, they can find their brother or their uncle or whatever to take
I
pictures.
think
They could
we
take a
have to
selfie.
let them.
Pardon?
Selfie.
Selfie.
Selfie,
That's
there
right.
you go.
They
Although
should post it.
As long as they don't use AI tools.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But you know what?
Post it somewhere
In
that
any-
we can all see it.
In any case, we can,
We can launch it on Earth Day too,
There are some issues with,
Oh, and
or in advance of Earth Day.
there are issues with,
well, taking pictures of kids,
Oh, yeah.
like, I don't know. So, I don't know, maybe that wouldn't be allowed if we're saying take a selfie, I don't know.
if
Or-
they
or
take,
po-
if they
maybe
take a
posting it.
selfie,
Well, posting
With
it
their
somewhere.
parent, with their parent.
Yeah, you'd have to get parental permission, to post it somewhere. But
Okay.
maybe just sending it to us is.
well, we could just do a few people,
Yeah.
plants that are kids.
Or there is that
and
whole,
post
like, remember the geo,
it. Caching.
yeah, something like that. We could put,
Okay, so
like a little weatherproof
who
box
would
with a
like to work with
stamp.
Diana to work on the fine points of this?
You're just assigning me everything in my last name.
No, I'm not saying that, is there anyone who'd like to? Barbara, it's all yours.
Rachel sounds like she wants to work on this.
Working with, I'm sorry, repeat that.
Well, we need to work out the details of how to,
confirm that the
but I think
whoever.
I don't think we have to be so stringent. If they have enough interest to be even doing it, we're
I
gonna.
mean, people aren't gonna be,
Yeah,
like,
cheating the system.
fraudulent about trying to get a patch. Everybody wants a
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
So I think we
I don't know what these kids do.
but even if everybody has
I gotta
patches
cheat my
that
way
highlight,
Kids are getting this down, Barbara.
but even if people are promoting it by having patches, that will get other kids interested who might go to every place. So I think we
They are.
don't have to be too stringent about that. But I'll work with you on it if you want.
All right. We'll figure it
And
out.
that worked too, but even in the library, don't they have, you couldn't put it in the library or something, if they wanted to?
They could put a list of who had,
Yes,
You know,
sure,
you
we
could
can.
put
yeah.
library,
we could have something
people
printed
who
up.
did all 14, and they could just put their,
That's like the
Or you could do
library.
like a check-in on your phone, and then they can use an alias or something. Like Dr. Ben.
but if they did it in the library, other people would see it, you know.
Yeah.
But people could say, hey, what's
It's a
this,
good
what's this
idea.
about this patch thing,
Yeah.
you know?
I'll
The stamp
talk
idea
to.
is a good one too.
The what?
'Cause you-
What if we had like a postcard that has, how many
Oh.
sites are there, 15?
And
And
they
like the little
stamp it.
checkerboard, and if we have a little.
Oh, and they have to punch a hole?
Well, when you go to the site, there's a little stamp, and you take it out and you stamp your thing.
You stamp
Yeah.
it.
That's
Wow.
the
You
geo.
could even display
I
the
know, but
stamped
that's
things
gonna
in
be
the
a lot.
library,
Uh-huh.
you know?
There's no place to put
Alright.
this, yeah.
We just put it in a little box, or we
Mm,
put it
no.
in a little plastic bag.
You're making this more work. But anyway,
I mean,
we
it
will,
works for geo people,
okay, well,
I
we
think
can
so.
learn.
And that,
I don't geocache.
a little bit off the subject, that does remind me that Jason Morrell is going to go with us to cut all the trees around, not cut all the standing trees,
St.
all the
Barbara.
stuff that's sitting around the
Leatherman?
We have
Leatherman.
posts, okay,
so we have a little
Cutting of
bit
trees.
more space and they can,
saplings.
no standing trees. just-
Okay, updates on commissions. I went to TPZ for the draft of the POCD. There's a few people who commented. Joy was one of them. I was, Amy Morella, Kathy Wick, and
Was it true that they said that they had no idea that it was
well, it was not
projected by the
written.
board
I
of
understand that it
Selectmen?
wasn't written in the information that the Board of Selectmen sent over to them.
What can you, I'm not hearing you.
Well, the Board of Selectmen sent over 4 items to the TP&Z about response to the POCD. They had a list of comments. I forget the 4 different things, but in none of them, according to what I remember from Chris Sullivan, had they indicated that they'd rejected it. Because the POCD had been rejected by the Board of Selectmen. The
But
TP&Z...
they acknowledged it, and the TP&Z did acknowledge
They
that it
weren't
was
totally
rejected.
surprised, but it hadn't been emphasized. And another factor is all the input that had been in the hearing with the POCD, of the POCD at the Board of Selectmen, is not going to be information that the TP&Z has the benefit of seeing, nor were they very interested in it.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So there was a Board of Selectmen hearing or time.
Meeting.
There was a public
Where they
hearing.
did,
Where they voted
where
not to.
they voted not to,
All those people's input is not being given.
wasn't being, oh, okay. But it's all public
But
knowledge.
But
and
they
to
have to
vote.
be,
Right, they didn't tell them that they rejected it.
right, and, they're gonna they're gonna take the information that people gave and make edits. They don't have to have a public hearing, it doesn't have to go before the Board of Selectmen. So, I didn't get a sense that they were,
And they want to
tuned
finish
into-
it by the end of December, or
Yes.
by December, or
yep,
something like that.
and they, I wasn't overly given the impression that the Conservation Commission's concerns were of importance. So we will see what that document looks like. I think we can have no more input, even though I repeatedly in my comments said that I would like to work with them, but that is not gonna happen, I don't think. Coopop, I haven't done any, I don't know. anything.
Coopop last meeting was canceled,
Oh, okay.
so we have
Another-
no information from them.
Another TP&Z hearing was the hearing on, what was it on? It was on, on the change in zoning, and the change in the zoning laws. And in that, a few people were very interested in returning them to the past zoning laws. And Kennedy, the not official chairman, discouraged that and said it didn't have to happen so quickly, and that we could wait, and people brought up the fact that while waiting, things could be brought before them that we won't have any control over because of the change in zoning, that got minimized.
what?
And indeed, that's what happened.
Guess
And
what?
I'm not so sure that they weren't aware of some of that when they were making these decisions. So we'll see how much how much interest the TP&Z has to deal with the zoning changes that they made and the public's overwhelming disinterest in them.
Well, they, I'm trying to remember. They voted on,
To make modifications. It was unclear, it was tricky what they voted on.
right, but it was looking at rescinding,
Yeah.
I believe.
It was a
That's what it
meeting
was.
for January, what did they say?
Right, you were there too. Right, so we'll see what happens. Does anyone want to move on from that? Does anyone have any questions? Next thing is on the agenda is the Fitzgerald property. There's a forest grant application that we might want to, in the new year, think about making part of the next year's agenda to work on that.
For, do,
Because it's a special kind of forest that could get money and
to do what?
to create a forest plan for that
Oh, okay.
forest. I think it will cost
Very
$6,000.
Do they have it at Alice Newton?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, very similar to it.
And it gives us access to get grant money if we have the forest plan, so we first have to get the forest plan.
Yeah, and part of the money you can spend though on getting on building the forest plan, right?
Yeah, or I think there may be funds available, or, yeah, that's not gonna be, once we get a focal point to do that, it sounds like it could happen fairly easily.
Yeah, it had to do with sorry, it's time for bed. It had to do with like the type of forest it was, right?
Right. The beech forest, yes, and other forests too, and the
Not
different
the beech forest,
microenvironments.
what was it, when we went on our little hike together, we talked about it.
Yeah. It has a special name, the type of, a special designation for the,
Type of forest. Give me
Interesting.
5 seconds to figure it out.
and
Yeah, that sounds like a really great opportunity.
yeah, I think we want to put some protection on the Fitzgerald property. It would be a very good
I think I
opportunity.
have Alice
Excuse
Newton's
me.
grant that they put in for the grant that they got. So are you saying it's the same thing that Alice Newton got?
I think it's this.
Oh, really?
No, I don't think it's not the same grant.
But a lot of the same information.
I want to
about
say
it.
it's like a young forest, but that's not what it is. It's like a
Transitional?
no,
it's not transitional.
no. You're thinking of the country club.
Yeah, no.
It has a core, right?
I think maybe you're right.
Core forest?
Yeah. Hey, hold please.
Oh yeah, if we could do something for those beech trees too, that would be.
They
That
did
would
have
be
a few,
great.
Andrea and they had an idea or two about how to cultivate the possibility of getting young beech trees that could survive more effectively.
So the existing ones are like pretty much lost. I haven't been there for a while, but
They're so beautiful and they're so changed.
So there's small core forests, medium core forests, and large core forests, and it has to do with the type of the type, the density of it, and preventing forest fragmentation,
Right.
further fragmentation. So I think that grant is coming up. Actually, they talk about it. They talked about it in June, and they have another one that's set up for protecting forest canopies to balance urban environments that don't have them. Right.
Right, that's right. So,
that would be great to have.
so.
I'm gonna have
that
all
would-
this time in January to work on it.
So in terms of looking ahead, finishing up the DEEP trail grant with patches and something with kids to do,
the forest, a grant for, having a forest plan for Fitzgerald. And then, of course, there's the open space plan. And updating that and making a better definition. So those are all things we've talked about that keep coming up, but we haven't sort of gotten very far on. Can I move to new business since it's getting late? Did you send something by Karen Crosby about the budget?
Yep.
So I did some work on that, and there's a form, general description of department accomplishments in 2025-26 and major goals and objectives. And I did write some stuff down. And if I go through it quickly, can somebody add, or people add to things that they, oh my God.
What?
A sad text. So, do you want to hear it, and then we can see if you want to add stuff to it, because it's got to be due by December 2nd. So this is our moment.
Can you send it and let us add comments also in addition to now?
Uh-huh. Let me just.
Takes me a while for things to sink in.
Mm-hmm. I have to read it a few times.
Okay, why don't I send it to people? But why don't you guys also come up with the general description, or accomplishments and goals would be two things that would be worth.
And the audience
Right,
is
yeah.
the Board of Selectmen.
I think so, right. That's my impression.
And this is for this past year.
And looking to the future. Goals on the
Because
past year.
didn't we
Answer
just,
for past
didn't
a
we
year,
just meet with
right?
them didn't we meet with them like a month ago and talk about what we've accomplished this year?
Yeah, we did say it, but I think they want it in a written form.
Oh, we have to turn in
Yeah.
an essay?
Can you and I work on this a little bit in the next couple of weeks? You're going away.
Yeah, let's have another subcommittee.
The general description is like a paragraph of what you guys do. Accomplishments, you can do like 3 or 4.
Bullets.
I think I've got it mostly written.
Well, yeah, you write them.
Accomplishments, longest meetings ever.
Like what you want.
No, we don't beat them.
Solid.
And then,
Second longest meeting.
Runners
What
up.
do you have, Sharon? What did you write down?
Let me just try to find it.
Silliest meetings ever.
Sorry. Cups of water.
Whew, I don't see it here.
You're talking about the one from Karen?
No, well, that's it, but I filled it out. Well, I filled it out here also. General description of department. We help to protect the environment from excess development that might endanger the habitats of the natural environment, and we establish, I can't read my handwriting. Education and increase the knowledge of the ecological importance of our environment, and we try to protect and acquire land and put, conservation easements and on those pieces of land. The second thing is the POCD, what we did, collaborating with DEEP for the trail grants, and the QR codes, and we worked with TPZ. We worked with the Blue Trails subdivision. We discovered or realized there's endangered species on the Woodbridge Country Club. We were part of the TAC Commission for the Woodbridge Country Club. So those are all things that we've done. And for goals, get conservation easement on the Woodbridge Country Club, consider a conservation easement on the Fitzgerald property, seek to protect more land, educate people about the importance of the habitat, support the sustainability committee, and work with housing to, create some kind of
context to create housing and still protect the environment. So those are the things I've written.
Did you, I couldn't really hear your,
Oh, sorry.
about the bats that Ben was working on and.
Yeah, that we discovered that there's endangered species on the Woodbridge Country Club is one thing. The TAC committee that we've worked with, protecting the Woodbridge Country Club and figuring out how to use it.
You need to get closer to the mic because I'm getting
Right.
text messages that nobody can hear what you're saying.
Okay, I'm losing it. So why don't I circulate that in the next day or so? Okay? And I also was wondering if people want to have a holiday party next month.
But of course.
Will there be
Follow
rum
up
cake?
question.
there be-
Will be sherry cake?
Maybe.
So do people want to come early for next meeting or,
Yes.
When is our next meeting?
I think it's December 4th?
Yes.
December
Okay.
4th?
Mhm.
So
Is that
maybe-
St. Nick's Day or is that December 5th? Wait, 6th.
December 4th.
Oh, St. Nicholas is December 5th or 6th, I think.
So,
6th.
so regarding the 4th, this is that day where they're having the affordable housing training. So Kathy, I think Kathy was,
Hoping that we'd come to
you know,
that.
hoping we would come to that and change our meeting, so that could be something.
So do we want to change our meeting? What do people think?
Well, the 3rd is another meeting that we're supposed to, that's the housing meeting they asked us to come to, right?
Which is what, December
And
3rd?
December 1st is the TPZ, which I think we're all planning on
Yeah,
attending.
that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna,
Is it going to be recorded, do you think? So we could watch it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, maybe we should ask Kathy.
Yeah.
It's going to be recorded. I can send her an email.
Where is it going to be?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh,
I
she
just-
said
I
where
just
it
knew
was
the
going to
date
be.
that
She
was
said
it.
it was going to be, oh, they were going to try to see if
She
it's going to be at the
wanted to do it
JCC.
Yeah.
JCC, that's where she wanted to do it.
Is it going to be at the JCC?
That's, she said she wasn't sure.
Oh, okay.
She was
Mm.
gonna try to do it.
So do we want to change that meeting? Because we should do that now if we do, or if we don't. Should
I mean, if it's going to be recorded, that would probably be,
sufficient
yeah.
Is the 11th too late? December 11th?
for our
yeah,
meeting?
no, we get into Hanukkah and holidays.
Oh.
Okay, so if people want to have a party, a little gathering, do you want to come like, what time do people want to meet then?
The hour before?
Hour
So
before?
we're supposed to be at 6, start at 5.
Do people want to text me what they want to contribute?
Uh,
Or do they want to decide now?
not yet.
Okay. All right, so people will text me what they want to
Let
have.
Rachel know. Should we invite our members of old?
Sure.
You bring your spouses?
Sure. Children? Well, if
I
I bring
don't
a
know.
spouse, I'm bringing children,
No,
so
I know.
your choice here.
Children
I
come with
don't
the
know that we
spouse.
should do spouses, but I don't, do people want to do spouses? It means making a lot more food. So are people wanting to, I'm open to it, I just hadn't thought of that, so.
I'd have to check with the spouse to see if that was even something
So why
we'd
don't
wanna
people
do.
text me what they want to do?
Let's move the holiday party conversation to a text message.
Okay,
Okay, next.
all right. Getting more educated about the Conservation Commission, we sort of dealt with that with Brian Pines, and if anyone else has any thoughts. And I think I'm going to Kakiwak, and I will report back after I go, which is in next week. It's the Conservation Commission's and Woodbridge, inland wetlands in, that it has a once-a-year meeting where they have lectures and people that teach you about stuff that is relevant.
I've been to it. It's very
It's
good.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. And it's being paid for, but I think the date may have passed, but if you wanted to go, Val, it's a possibility.
Oh.
Well, that's all I have on the agenda.
We have one thing on the agenda. I'm gonna put it under member comment because we should have had it on here, but I sent the meeting schedule out to everybody. After last meeting, I evaluated them to make sure that we didn't have any conflicts with Beecher, Amity, holidays.
Okay.
So
And it's the first,
we have to
first
vote to-
Thursdays?
yeah, whatever the list was. We have to vote to approve that because it has to be posted at least 30 days. The schedule has to be posted at least 30 days in advance of the new year.
Aha, so we have to do it now.
That's why you have to do it now.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what those dates are, or just say it's the
Yes,
first
I
Thursday?
do want to tell you what those dates are.
For the minutes.
Draft meeting schedule. They're in the minutes. And I attached it below, and it is January 8th, February 5th, March 5th. What?
Oh, sorry.
Am I right?
No, I'm saying there they are.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
April
Didn't mean to derail you.
2nd, May 7th, June 4th, July 2nd, August 6th.
Emancipation Day.
I thought that would be a nice touch. September 3rd, October 1st, November 5th, December 3rd.
Sounds great.
Motion to accept.
I move to accept.
Who's motion?
Sharon?
Sharon.
Second.
All in
And
All
all in favor? Aye.
those in favor.
So I want to go back up to the budget. I realize that the budget also has to be done by December 2nd. I think we should just reestablish the same budget that we've had prior years. Unless we'd like to ask for more money for the grant for the, getting a forester for the Fitzgerald property.
Well, but
Oh,
the
this is
grant
the-
dollars, you don't have to.
That's not part of the budget.
You might want to
No,
recommend that you.
we need money, sorry, we need money to get the forest plan to give us the possibility of getting grant money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what were we saying, sorry?
So you're talking about putting money in the budget to get a plan.
Yes. That would be for 26, 27. That's next year's. That we're talking, that's what this budget is about.
Do we have any idea what that cost might be?
Somebody said $6,000, but I have a feeling that no one's going to be interested in our budget increasing by 2/3.
No.
And there may be other ways to get that money as well. So I don't know that, I think there's a budget, they specifically said that they'd rather not have us budgets are tight. So I don't know if we should go with the old budget or try to get a little more money for other things. Does anyone have any opinions about that?
I do have an opinion about everything. An opinion about this in particular. So we had met with Chris Sullivan from the Conservation District, and if we make a donation to that group, that we get some support from that organization, and I can't remember if it was.
And the town does give a contribution to
don't we
that
do
group.
that?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
We do?
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm. Well then,
And
are
maybe
you
we could-
Under what?
Yeah, because it's typically under the Conservation Commission.
No, I was under the impression that, I think from Chris Sullivan, that she said that we are members of that.
No, we're members.
But, yeah, no, it's
Or maybe are you
giving a
talking about something
donation
different?
in addition.
The Conservation
Oh.
District?
I thought just being a member qualified us. You're saying that in addition to that, we need to give a donation to qualify us for getting more help from them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I mean, we're a member just because we're in the district.
okay.
So you might want to, I don't know if you want to reach back out to Chris.
I've actually emailed him twice. He hasn't responded to me. So maybe that's because we're not paying them. I have no idea. Yeah. So.
Okay.
I could just reach out and just say like, hey, like, are we paying members or do we need to pay or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's a donation.
Mhm.
Typically, it's
I could
about
do that if you want,
$1,000.
or I could do that.
Okay.
Sure, yeah, if you want to.
What, I need, could you text me the name of the organization? Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
You know, I
but
mean,
the budget has to
I
happen
could just do
before
it
that.
because I've been emailing with him,
Okay, that's fine.
so it might be easier. But thank you for the offer.
Do we want to try to increase our budget at all, or do we want to? I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
think we
you'd
have
be
enough.
increasing your budget, whatever that amount is. The other thing is I would talk to Deep first to find out if that grant will actually help you. I thought their grant would help you hire a forester, hire somebody to develop your plan. And then help, once you have a plan, you get even more money to help implement it.
Mhm. Okay. So, do we agree that if there is a possibility, we try to increase our budget by a small amount to?
Well, whatever the amount is, if we want to contribute to the conservation district, whatever that amount is, you would need to add that line item in there, whether it's $500 or $1,000. We should also just confirm that we are,
Mhm.
well, that's ideal. And then, we can contact Deep together if you want, Sharon, just to see what the status is of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Does anyone want to adjourn? Do we have any other business?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Who's second?
Val, all in favor?